Hey guys, it's BlockchainBrad. Today, you can see we're pretty relaxed. We've got Digital Lawrence, or Lawrence Digital, however you want to say it. He's on the channel today just to get real, talk crypto. Lawrence, man, thank you so much for being on the channel today.
Yeah, dude, thanks for having me.
Oh, mate, you're very respected in the space for being real. You're bringing it to the people. You're very charismatic and you're social. Mate, what's up? Where are
Thanks.
you at in the world? What are you doing?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Currently I'm in Chicago in like the business lounge in my hotel.
Business.
Um, got kicked out of my room because you get to do the whole checkout thing.
Right.
Got a flight in a couple hours, and it's really snowy here, so I'm hoping like it's not canceled. Going back to LA late tonight, and then got a bunch of meetings lined up in LA and like Beverly Hills and Santa Monica this week. So I'm
Wow.
stoked to get back and like meet everybody.
So tell us about that though, in terms of like your life. Obviously, it's changed a lot since you jumped into this crazy crypto sphere. You got all these
Yeah,
meetings, you got people, you're checking in with that obviously want to hear from
yeah.
you. So what's going on? Like, what are you actually trying to do this year, 2019?
Well, I guess a couple things. One is I want to get into like personal branding more, I guess. Um, I want to open like a design shop, where we pretty much take companies and make their brand better. Like
Mm-hmm.
my background's kind of in like media and design. So, I want to work with like blockchain companies. Notoriously, most of them have like pretty shit UXs or UIs or bad logos. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's like all about the design. I think everything's about design in life. Like I saw this stat a couple years ago when I was trying to work on something. It was like something like 89% of all millennials, now that age group spans from like 20 to pretty much 40 almost. 89% said design was the number one reason they bought a product or a service.
Right.
And for boomers, it was like 10%, and their biggest thing was price.
Right.
So I just think design is so important, and it's like art. So I want to start working with companies to help them with their design. I have a lot of great designers like in my circle and on my team, and I feel like I have a pretty good like talent for like design work, video work. I used to do that for a living,
And
so
bro,
I want to do that.
and it was cool because on your Twitter, I noticed that it even says some sort of reference to how you love design. And
Yeah,
again, you're really transparent about the things that you want to do. And in that respect,
yeah,
obviously crypto, because we're talking about tokenized economies, we're talking about representations of value. Do you cop
yeah,
any flack from anybody in the space as you're trying to build out your business? Because we all do in different ways. And how do you deal with that?
yeah. That's a good question. I guess yes, I do catch slack. I guess everybody does, but not as much. I guess I catch less slack than it's not bad. It's really
Mm.
not bad. Like I don't
Yeah.
mind it. For the most part, like I don't get these like crazy attacks on me and stuff.
Mm.
And
Well,
I try not to.
maybe it's because you are just,
Yeah,
you're so real, and I mean it in a real sense.
yeah,
On that note, I wanted to ask you, mate,
right.
like, do you think that, essentially you're representing real deal companies? Because that's the biggest challenge, is to really know what's going to come of these startups. And so in that
Yeah,
respect, because people are betting on the hope of the value of these so-called tokens, that they're
right.
investing in, but really it's a pre-utility. That's where the
Sure.
challenges come in. So how do you deal with that? Let's say, for example, where, you support with all of your skills, just like in any marketing
Yeah,
company, you help out a company,
right.
but they turn out to
Yeah.
be shit, in the future. Not your fault, clearly, but how do you sort of deal with that if people have listened to, I guess, the privilege of influence?
That's literally like the biggest hurdle. And that's
Mhm.
why like I haven't really been so like obsessed with like I gotta get clients, I gotta find companies because honestly, like a lot of them are just shit.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, I feel like I have a decent knack of just like, is this company gonna do anything good?
Yeah.
Like, are the founders like legitimate? Like I met the Pundi X team in Bali, and like
Mhm.
Zach and the CEO and Peak, I think her name is pronounced Pico, so hopefully that's right. And they were just like two really cool people. I think she's head of public relations, communications, and he's the CEO. They're both about my age.
Mhm.
Both came from like cool backgrounds, like worked at Google, and like, you know, they just seem legitimate. And I
So
saw like
you really go
CZ
with the
kind of
vibe.
gave,
So you really go with the vibe that you get when you meet them.
yeah, you know, like I thought they were sick, and I've stayed in contact with them. I'm not working for them. I've never been paid by them, but like
Mm.
companies that seem like they're actually doing something, like I want to work with. And I feel like we have a lot of time. You know, like I was lucky to see Gary Vee in Vegas, like, I don't know, in August at some blockchain conference. And his whole thing is like, you know, deploy massive patience. And he was, you know, right. And he was saying like, yeah, blockchain is going to change the whole world, but it's going to be about 10 years from now. So chill
Right.
out. Like, you have time, you know, you have time to kind of own the space. So like, while I would love to just have like a big fancy office, like in like Beverly Hills, and have like 15 like badass companies that are like, yo, I need you to make a video for me today and make me this website, and here's logo work. It's like, okay, well, like really, like there's probably not even enough legitimate crypto companies for me to even be gainfully employed.
Right.
Like, you know,
Well,
there's
I'm
probably
glad you mentioned that. I just want to jump in because you
yeah,
saw the space. You know, you're well known for your travels around the world, and we can talk about how
yeah,
you did that with Nye later. But at the end of the day, it's very different, the landscape now. Even with work, I would imagine
yeah,
coming to the table, because 2019, every guy was wanting support from
yeah,
everyone. But now, like being able to discern the quality as well as just get work. How are you going with that? Like, how are you putting food on the
yeah,
table? Because you'd have to,
yeah.
are you reaching out to these companies, or are they all trying to
Mm.
come to you and pitch you?
Yeah. So actually, like this year in 2019, I haven't signed any clients. I get random DMs like, hey, will you do this for us? Will you do this? And, you know, the more I look into it, 9 times out of 10, it's some weird project.
Mm,
You know, very, very rarely is it like a legitimate company and a legitimate team, or like, hey, man, we're based in Malta. We're doing it all by the books. We just left Apple. Like, we have a actual marketing budget. This is what we want to accomplish. Like, that never happens almost.
got ya.
I think it will,
Yeah.
but it's not yet, you know?
And bro, it's so cool that you have such a strong social network within the, I guess, the content creators. And that's a big difference from influencer, especially for you, because you are all about
Right.
that whole creation of content and
Yeah.
quality. But in
Yeah.
that respect, do you sort of utilize that to help confirm and do your research? Like, how do you do your research to really dig deep into the validity of these companies?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, good point. I don't even look into new projects anymore right now. I mean, 9 times out of 10, when someone's like, check out this project, I won't, because like most time it's not like good.
Mm,
You know, I would have to see something that's like, I don't know. I just look at it like a normal startup now. Like,
mm,
what's the idea? Like, is the idea sick? Like, if you're like, I'm going to tokenize every coffee table in America, it's like, okay, that's not
mm.
that good. But if
Yeah.
you're like, I'm going to fund, you know, like,
Yeah, I
but
hear
I'm
what
going
you're
to,
saying. But look at what happened recently. You know about the story with Tron and then BTT. It was today even,
yeah,
and this video will go out later. But as we're speaking, it happened just recently. Very
right,
successful raise in terms of the speed, and but the problem was very few people could actually access that. It was very ICO-like
right.
in that sense. So
Yeah, of course.
again, sometimes the hype, bro, of these projects supersedes potentially their value anyway. So that's why I always advocate for really exploring, what is dog shit and what isn't in every vertical
Right.
area. And it's cool to hear from you that you give a shit, that you actually care
Yeah.
about that stuff, because we're not like in any other industry where it's not tokenized. These are tokenized assets, and people can really
Right.
friggin' lose a lot of money. So I don't
True.
blame myself if that happens, but I try friggin' hard
Yeah.
to make sure that they're quality as much as possible,
Right.
whatever that means in crypto, because everything's so
Right.
experimental. But
Yeah.
you traveled around, you've seen that, you've been right in Asia where the action's really hot in different ways. What was it like
Yeah.
traveling around there and just catching the vibe?
I was out there for like 8, 9 months. The first half of the trip was kind of, I don't want to say a party, but it was kind of, like it was fun. I was with 2 of my good friends from back home, and we were just stay 7 nights in Bangkok at a hostel, go to a different part of Bangkok, stay 4 nights, meet people, those people would be like, hey, we're going to Chiang Mai tomorrow. You want to come? And it's like a $30 flight up north. We're like, yeah, let's do it. We go to Chiang Mai. You meet more people. And after like a month, you start having this like roving pack, because there's like a travel itinerary through Southeast Asia, which I learned there's like a standard route that you
Right.
do. It's like Bangkok, Koh Phangan, Koh Phi Phi, Chiang Mai. Then you work your way into Laos, down in Cambodia. And then you go to either start in North Vietnam, South Vietnam, ride the bikes all the way down. And it takes a couple months for all this. And then you go to Bali and then maybe the Philippines, and then it's a wrap. But it's like a 6-month
Wow.
journey. So I
Wow.
was picking up, we would just pick up friends. And it was so cool. Like, you'd be like 4 weeks later, you'd be in a bar in like Ho Chi Minh City, Saigon City, and you'd be like, Alex. And you met him like 2 months ago in Bangkok. And it's just like your best friend of all time. Like, when you're on vacation, you meet somebody, like a girl, like when you were younger, or like a guy, like at summer camp, and it's like, that's
Yeah.
your best friend for like a
Yeah.
week. You just like make these like best friends. And you're just like,
So-
dude, you're the best friend I've ever had.
So how are you coping now that you've kind of got to wear that invisible tie? I mean, you're growing up in the sense of blockchain. You want to be sedentary, build out a business. Nothing wrong with that, bro. I mean, kudos to you for building this platform and for giving a shit to everybody who's, trying to learn more and engage in it. But is that your plan now? Are you going to settle down a little bit and really focus on building this enterprise, or are you going to keep, you being that nomad and travel around?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's like a hard thing to answer. I've like debated myself and talked to friends. The first couple months of traveling, I was still active on Twitter. I was still doing work for companies, like I was still working every day, but I would just be at the beach or like on a scooter or something. And then like the second half of the trip, I was hitting conferences, like went to Consensus Singapore, and that was like the more proper Asia, like not so much Southeast Asia, I guess more like Singapore, Hong Kong, Japan,
The suits.
Shanghai, that's the suits. Yeah, that's, a beer goes from $1 to 10, ramen goes from $1 to 20,
I'm glad you know that stuff. That shows you're real.
Yeah, that's when you're like, okay, you get a hotel room in Bangkok for $20 and it's pretty nice. I mean, you can't even catch a sofa in Japan for $50. You're
crazy.
$150. Yeah, so it was a little more suit tie, but now, I decided to get back to LA, kind of be a little more grounded. I did, 8-9 months overseas, which was nuts for me. I've never done anything like that. It was literally the funnest time of my life. But now, in a way, I'm trying to grow up. But at the same time, like, I'm probably going to go back to Asia, like for a couple months in the summer.
Yeah.
I like that international connection. I like meeting people out there. It's cool to be able to be like, oh yeah, like you work at this prominent company in Shanghai. I'm in Shanghai. What's up? Like, we met a couple months ago. Like, that's cool to me.
And it'll be so cool that you'll grow up, but also you'll transform the way that businesses can be done, because you're going to take through, I'd imagine, that ethos of distributed and decentralized, business and communities. Because one of the cool things that's obvious in your Twitter feeds and everything you present is you really enjoy meeting people. You really genuinely enjoy that. So is that always in the forefront of your mind? Is that community? That, and most importantly, the fact that obviously people really are trusting you. Like, is all that really key?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I just never really. For me, it's just like fun. Like, I don't know. I just, like I've always, when I was like younger, I was like, I always wanted to travel the world, and then it's like I had the opportunity, and then like you just like wake up and like I don't know, yank lang per bang wow, and you're like, wow, I'm like alive, I'm here, I have Wi-Fi, like I can like trade, or like like it's just cool. And I like meeting people. Like I don't know, I guess it's kind of cool in a way that like like I mean, I was just able to kind of like get somewhat of a community on Twitter, and like that's fucking cool to me. So I always try to like stay
in contact really
with everybody. And
congratulations on that as well, bro. And so what are you thinking of doing now that you're sort of got some more focus and you really want to build this? What specifically are you planning for 2019? What can everybody sort of expect from DL as he's rocking it with his own style?
All right, so here's the master plan, I think, for now.
Okay.
One, I want to up my video game. So now I'm in LA. I'm gonna start working with like some like sick filmmakers, like the ones with like the $10,000 cameras that just like make you look sick.
Right.
So I want to like do some cool cinematic like convertible, like driving down like Sunset Boulevard, just
But
like
just promise
cool
us, bro.
stuff.
Promise us no Lambo videos. Promise us no, please. Can you say that on
Okay,
camera? There'll be no rap Lambo videos.
I do like to rap.
Yeah, but don't do the Lambo,
But
please.
okay, I won't. Yeah, no Lambo.
Okay.
I'm more. Yeah, probably not. Just like cool stuff, and like I want to try to do anything too like cheesy. It might be cheesy to people. I don't know. It's cool. Like I think it's cool to film stuff. Like I like stuff like that.
Yep.
And then the second part is as I like put out more content like that, I want to be known as kind of like the branding guy of crypto. Like if your company needs a brand, hit Lawrence Digital up. If it's not shit, I mean, if it's a shit company, like please don't hit me up.
Nice
but if
plug,
it's like
bro.
something like
really
cool,
nice plug. If you're really good, come to me. If you're shit, piss off.
yeah, I saw
Pretty
this
clear.
guy. I saw this guy. Yeah, I saw this guy on YouTube, Dan Locke, and he goes, I don't know, he's like some sales coach guy, like all like how to sell, but he was like, one of his things he says, he's like, look, I don't make losers win. I help winners win more. And it's like, okay, that's kind of like the thing. Like if it's shit, like I can't help you. I can't like turn somebody into a winner. Like, but if you're like a winner, I hope I can help you win more. So that's like kind of like the direction I want to kind of go in 2019 is like, if you're already doing something, like I'll always support anybody that like hits me up. If someone's like, yo, help me with this, like always down.
So, bro, what do you say then, to those people in the libertarian sort of maximalist camp? Because there's nothing obviously wrong with that viewpoint. But if they're suggesting that, the rest of these startups, and I don't like to use the word altcoin for that reason. I certainly don't like to use the word shitcoin because the anomaly is if anyone in this camp who's building business with prospective businesses and they're a maximalist, then I say, what the F? Because essentially they're working with everything but BTC in that context, regardless of that view. So what's your view on the potential of these startups, in that argument?
I think that Bitcoin will always be Bitcoin. I think it's always going to be like the global standard of crypto. Like it invented crypto. It's always been crypto. It's the original concept of blockchain. Sure, I think immutable. Like I know they were experimented with like DLT technology in like the 80s and 90s. I'm sure there was like, attempts at it, but like Bitcoin's been around for a decade. So there's a lot of like sunk social value in that. Like when people are like, we're building the next Bitcoin, it's like, okay, good luck convincing people for 10 years straight that you're the best. You're like Bitcoin already sold. I mean, it's been a decade. There's a lot of value that's generated in that. That's why like
there's a very
brands
strong social legacy. It's like you said, brands.
Yeah.
It's your niche. So Bitcoin fundamentally is that. It's the branding. Is that the power of it?
Yes, I think the power of Bitcoin is its brand. I think technically, from a technical point of view, don't hold my feet to the fire, but hypothetically, can someone create a better Bitcoin? Maybe, probably.
Well, I can help you out
the technology is getting better.
Because I can help you on that side. Yes, it's possible. Because it's like any technology. The whole point of technology is it evolves. So you're right, 100%. But let's move back to that social brand. There's really nothing like it in the sense of what it's achieved in that 10 years.
Yeah, it's achieved everything. I mean, you have people that have been in it since 2009, like they've been pushing this thing for a decade. It's like Louis Vuitton or Apple. Like I could create a better iPhone X technically, like if you got the best engineers and I was like, this is a better iPhone. And there's tons of companies that make, technically speaking, better phones than an iPhone,
Got ya.
But good luck convincing somebody that it's like an Apple. Like an Apple can charge $1,500 for a phone because it's Apple. Like Bitcoin.
Here's the thing I wanted to ask you directly, because you are a branding expert and I rarely get to talk to, people in your situation. But when we look at the history from the 2000 bubble with, with the web, for example, the very first developments weren't the ones that succeeded. So if we liken that, let's say for a sec, to BTC for a moment. Let's say hypothetically that technology does start to really emerge for currencies that are immutable, transparent, or not even, that does tend to work more in alignment with enterprise interest, but still has the functionality of the BTC probabilistic nature. Is it possible, with your knowledge of branding, that something could actually come and really challenge this extraordinary brand that's already been built?
I don't think so. Because I feel like it's different from a traditional company. So like, if let's just say I'm Audi, and then Tesla, for example, right? Tesla has now almost usurped the entire automotive industry as the premier luxury car.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's almost at the point where if someone goes, what's more valuable in the brand, a BMW or a Tesla? Like, Tesla is almost at the point where, it's more valuable than a Lamborghini. Like, to a lot of people, like that feeling is like, Tesla's solid. Like, so I think Tesla is an example that they were able to like usurp and jump over established brands. Like, they've already crushed all the mid-sized brands. Now their only competition is like a Bugatti or like maybe a Lamborghini or something. But Tesla's already beaten BMW and all that from a brand point of view. And I think that was easy to do because they had a superior product. Now, I think what's different with Bitcoin is not only is it a brand, it was the first of its kind ever. It's got a 10-year brand history in the space, which it would probably be equivalent to 100 years in a normal world. But also there's hundreds of millions or billions of dollars invested of sunk cost. Like, good luck convincing the guy in 2010 that still luckily has a 15,000 Bitcoin wallet that there's a new Bitcoin. How's that going to happen? You know, like I have the new Bitcoin. Okay, so I guess I'll just sell my worthless $100 million of Bitcoin because you have a better tech. Like, I don't see how that would ever happen. Now, I guess a fork would carry over that value. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're doing awesome. I was just going to ask you, you raised a really good point about the Tesla, and obviously everyone knows the CEO of Tesla, and his charisma really carries it. And I wanted to ask you about that. You've met many teams that are really prominent in this space. The most successful right now are those that have these charismatic leaders. It's funny, even inside the social spheres of crypto, those with charisma, are really coming to the fore in that space. And you're very good friends with some of those people. But at the end of the day, is it the case of the egg before the chicken, in that the hype coupled with the charisma, or coupled with the narrative, more so with BTC, for example, because the narrative is really sexy to millennials, as well as the technology and as well as the functionality and the circumvention narrative at the beginning of authority, which is all a little bit opaque because Bitcoin is transparent in the sense of its transactions. But at the end of the day, are we still in that phase of pre-utility and narrative? And what happens when we eventually switch the light on of the tech drives it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. I think it's like my brain is now like chunking it into two separate categories now. You have Bitcoin, everything else. So Bitcoin, I don't feel like anybody can usurp it. I think it's going to continue to be the standard. I think there's too much wealth tied into it and too many people that were in early for them to say, I'm over Bitcoin. And although you saw Roger Ver try to be like spin off and fork it and, but it was very unsuccessful. Okay. Maybe not unsuccessful. Maybe it was successful to him. From my eyes, like, it wasn't, the community wasn't like, okay, like Bitcoin's dead.
It became quite childish, to be frank, because people were just over it. We didn't want to keep seeing tantrum after tantrum of people saying that, spitting out their pacifier and saying, look at me, look at me. It just became really quite farcical. And I'm not saying that the technology of any of these forks are better or worse, but it was the mannerisms and behavior of the leader that really turned a lot of people off. And that became a big, very contentious issue for the whole Bit family, including Bitcoin for many, because people, again, are sentiment driven, it seems. So it's just so interesting talking to you because you really seem to get the value of branding, you know, as we still are trying to grapple with utility. But the biggest question is what happens, bro, when these native tokens become actualized in the market and they're doing real shit? What if they can? And what if they can transact and be a marker of value between enterprises beyond brand? What happens then? That's going to be interesting to see, because Bitcoin right now, we can't really say it's a universal coin of value in the sense of, you know, some sort of commodity or some sort of currency. Not universally yet. We can still call it that SOV. And there are many people who want it to be different things. But what happens if, let's say, it does or others, you know, come to the fore and start to be transactable in the real world? That will be an interesting marketplace, I think, for a potential for some of these. Because some of the startups also want their internal token to represent that redeemable voucher for their own ecosystem. So Richard Hart raised a very valid point. He said, well, you know, basically, what the fuck? You know, there's going to be a million different coins for a million different startups. So everyone's wondering in the future what's going to evolve and how it's all going to interact. But certainly, everyone is talking about the potentials of this. So again, it harks back to, you know, when you call something, it's not you, but when people say shitcoin, I always am very careful to listen to an influencer say that if they're talking to those shitcoins. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I've never really used that term. I get it. It's funny, like Bitcoin and the shitcoins. Like, I get it. I guess I feel like Bitcoin is just always going to be here. I think they're going to develop it more, the Lightning Network, but like the sunk social value of Bitcoin in like the 10 years, that I don't think that can ever go away. So that's always going to be there.
Yep.
And you'll see a lot of companies like via the Lightning Network. There's going to be companies that build startups. Let's just say, for example, I build the next Uber on blockchain, right? It's like a DAO, like it's decentralized, and you know, all the payments are automatic, blah, blah, blah. I might just transact with the Lightning Network. I don't need my own coin for that. So we'll see companies like that just start to integrate Bitcoin into their workflow.
Sure.
You know, I think
what are you thinking
that's going to be one thing.
Yeah, I agree. And that leads us into the STOs, into securities, into equity. I think we're going to see a lot more of that in the future where, you know, it's presented to them the value of public chains, but they'll also recognize the imperative of privacy and data control. So they will still utilize them most likely, but they won't do it in that traditional sense of trying to have the hyperledgers necessarily, or the R3s or the quarters and quorums, and because they don't really work in the sense of they don't interact with the wider imperatives of adoption and mass audience because they just function like databases. So I think there'll be a lot more equity play. And I mean, what do you think though about this one issue that comes up as we enter more and more into the true nature, the true architecture of the crypto space that it is? There's definitely layers, just like Wall Street, like any business sphere. There's layers of access, there's nuances of manipulation, there's bullshit, you know, at the highest degree. How do you grapple with all that? Because, you know, you jumped in pretty innocently, like we all did. But we learn about this stuff going on, and we notice it's happening at most, you know, the core of it's happening at the most elite positions in crypto. So, you know, how do you grapple with this?
I guess grapple with like the different levels of access.
Yeah. Just knowing this happens.
Oh, you mean like whales pre-buy, ICOs?
Yeah, all the bullshit.
I mean, honestly, I guess at the end of the day, like I just try to do the best I can for myself. You know, like I know what, like I get what's going on sometimes. Like I spot like, okay, you know, obviously friends got the hookup before the you know.
I mean, it happens.
I guess it happens in all business.
It happens. Yeah, it really does. But it's tough in our situation because obviously there's also those, you know, say for example, the majority of people are in that situation in the secondary market where they're diligently trying to learn something. I can really understand why many people are pissed because, you know, not everything's egalitarian, not everything's about equal access. So it seems like we're graduating more to this whole ideal of open slather. Everyone should be equal. Go for your life. But we still see elements of absolute capitalism, probably ultra capitalism in this space.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. I guess what I think, I got wrecked. I mean, I've been wrecked before, you know.
Me too.
Like, yeah. I mean, fuck. I've been super wrecked before. I've been like waking up one day in Pai with my friend in northern Thailand. And I was like, dude, I just got wrecked. And he's like, bro, me too.
Yeah.
And like we were depressed for like a week, like super wrecked. And then I was like, all right, whatever. I don't know. I guess I kind of just look at it as like life, like ups and downs. Like you just learn. Like,
and bro, I really appreciate your honesty about that, because if we know that people in our positions can get equally wrecked, that's good to know, because that means firstly you're holding the value. Because a lot of people, and I won't name names, but oh my God, I know a few, they didn't do that.
Yeah.
And they literally would say to me, you know, Brad, just sell this shit, you know, just drop it at mainnet. You'll make a fucking, you know, 6x or whatever. Just random number. But the truth is that if you truly value the token at the time in that narrative, you are hodling. What I've learned now is that we're still in this very challenging pre-utility era. You know, we're still working out what truly has value. So I don't even advocate. I never say, you know, really espouse this whole concept of hodl. Instead, now I just encourage people to really understand what they're putting their money in. Like really understand. Because at the moment, trade and speculation still drives everything. And but I'm with you. You know, I think that it takes that whole experience of being wrecked in crypto to really get it. Because, man, I know what you're talking about. I hear it. And it doesn't matter if you can access pre-sale or public. It's not about that. It's about the mentality. You know, it's that value point. Are you in it? Are you in it for like a minute to get out and hit on everyone? Because if you win, someone loses. Or are you there to try and work out what is valuable in a few years? You know, it's tough. It's a really tough game because everything's so experimental. But respect that you're so honest about your own experience.
Yeah. No, I've got wrecked so many times. I've been wrecked so many times. It's just kind of like, I feel like it's just like your goals. Like you can have different goals at the same time. You could say, look, dude, I got to make money by tomorrow to pay rent. Okay, that's a goal. But I also want to set up money by the end of the month so I can put stuff in retirement. But then also by the end of the year, I want to be able to buy a new car. So like you can have different motives for different parts of like your transactions. Like, sure, if you get some coin and it does a 2x and you don't really care about it, cool, sell it. Like, I don't care. Like, that's you. Like, if you get some coins, you're like, dude, somehow I think, I don't know how, but this coin's gonna like take over the world. Hold it. You know, if you buy something that you thought was awesome and it drops 90% and everybody's telling you to hold, it's gonna bounce back, but you don't want to, or you have other priorities, sell it. Like
I'm with you 100%. I'm with you because in that sense, sorry to interrupt, bro, but in that sense, it's like each person independently, you're advocating that they make those decisions for themselves and empower themselves through, you know, research and knowledge. DYOR. But whatever that is. But some in the space didn't do that shit. You know, that they weren't good actors. What they did instead was they rode the wave up in value on the basis everyone else had to lose on the model. And so there really are, you know, different agendas in the space. And what is good to hear is that as you travel around, I've heard that there's a real cleanup happening in these conferences. There's a lot more interest in the functionality, the probability of these doing something, the utility. Have you found that as you traveled around that things are cleaning up?
Yeah, I think they're just dying because of lack of funds, you know, like no one's funding. If you I won't name any projects, but pay attention to like the top 20 coins and who they interact with each other. I mean, these people are well funded and they're pulling off some crazy stuff. I mean, they're working with government regulators in countries. They're getting laws changed by parliaments. Like the big people in the space are moving and shaking, and they're doubling down and reinvesting in their company. And there's a couple companies that are climbing the rates because they're well funded and have good ideas and good background and good purpose. But like all like the bullshit, like white paper, let me get 5 million. Like,
Yeah.
dude, they're pretty much out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing
So
too
I
is
think, yeah, it's consolidating.
with those big raises, a lot of people, you know, complain about the ICO, rightly so, because there's a lot of problems with it. But one of the things is that those that did crowdfund, and that's essentially what the ICO afforded, when they did up to, you know, hundreds of millions, like you said, that's given them the capital, and that means the head start. Because even if you were, and I'm a bit more direct, so I'm going to name a name. So even if you are like Justin and you are Tron, what they did was they went through their very social sort of strategy.
Mm-hmm.
They really drove hype, but that money empowered them to go and use that to their ends. So if they want to go and build good tech, let them do that, whatever they want. But the point I'm making is that I'm used to a world where tech drives innovation. But in this world, hype can actually drive capacity to build. Hype can build tech. And I'm really adjusting my understanding of that, because if I don't keep up with that because of the crowd's mechanism, the crowdfunding, then I'm not really paying attention to the whole point of why they do it. Because they only do it because traditional markets would never give them the funds. And now they have it,
right?
They have to go and build that, or they can go to the Caribbean and fucking party forever if they want to. But, you know, I like the ones that stay and build.
Yeah. I mean, you know, like Justin's son, like, I mean, I'm pretty sure he worked at Ripple in like 2013, 14 and was like head of Ripple for China.
Yeah.
I think he was like mining or into Bitcoin when he was in college in the States in like 2012 or 11. Justin keeps a pretty powerful set of friends and pretty well connected. So,
and he also knows, he's mastered the art of hype. He has, you know, he understands how to, you know, nuance a tweet, or how to, you know, hype shit very effectively. I'll retract the word shit, but hype his project. And then if he's got the money behind him, you know, and he's building stuff, so be it. You know, that's what he's going to do. I don't actually own any Tron, so I'm not trying to shill this to anybody. But it's more about,
let the market decide.
Yeah. Yeah. But eventually, do you think that tech will write it, though? In the sense that there's got to be a point
in that particular case?
Well, in any case, eventually, doesn't the tech have to catch up?
Yeah, it will. Yeah, 100%. I mean, eventually, like, okay, EOS.
Yeah.
I mean, there's $4 billion or something crazy.
There you go. Great example.
I've been to the EOS hackathon. A lot of people shit on EOS. I went to the EOS hackathon in San Francisco. I met a fucking lot of smart people, like 250 developers there, building like cool ass shit, dApps on the platform. I mean, you say what you want about them, but like they're building some shit.
Well, it's the same. Like, you know, it's exactly the same scenario in that, again, the charisma of Da Hongfei led an incredible run, you know, in the hype train that was crypto then. But now, you know, there's a lot of criticism because they have even less nodes than EOS. You know, we're talking 7 moving towards something more closely to the numbers of EOS. So, yeah, it's the same reaction. But right now, the point is they both have significant capital. Whether or not, you know, they've maintained a lot of that is another question because of the markets themselves. But you are right, bro, is that they have the capital, and many of them are a force to be reckoned with just because everyone else is so wrecked.
Money.
Even if that money is probably the most imperative thing of all. Because
now, if it's a big scam, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go for it, bro.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like what you're saying. If it's a big scam, then the tech will never catch up with the hype and the money.
Yeah.
But if it's not, imagine what's going to happen. Like, what if Tron wasn't a big scam? What if EOS isn't a big scam? Like, everybody's like, oh, it's a big scam. Sure. I don't work for them. I'm not stamping my name on it, but what if they're not?
And like, in that sense, what about businesses? You know, I really wanted to ask you this because you and I come across as real representatives of the people. You know, you just do. That's your aura. You know, you come across as also that you're both cool. And because, you know, I come from a background that's more, you know, academic and researcher based, I should have been boring, Brad, probably. Yeah. Because I get that everyone has their own needs. No, for sure. But the thing is that, you know, as you travel around, no doubt you're seeing, you know, underneath or everything, you're seeing the potentials of some of this emerge to become real in enterprise. And I wanted to ask you,
Right.
Do you value that? Do you think that's important? Because a lot of people who started off in Bitcoin, they're really anti-enterprise, touching the space,
Yeah.
protective about it.
Yeah. I think Bitcoin will always be Bitcoin. I think everything out, look, blockchain technology, like Gary Vee said, in my opinion, will take over the whole world. It just makes sense. Like, why do you need a middle party if you can like automatically program a smart contract to pay out a sports bet or automatically pay out an insurance claim? Like blockchain will eat the world. Like Gary Vee says, I'm just going to hide under his cover. I feel like he has more credibility. So
nice one.
If I'm wrong, it's Gary Vee's fault.
Yeah, you heard it from DL. It's not his fault.
Yeah, 100%. He actually says you can hide under his declaration, so I'm doing that right now. But yeah, it's gonna make like blockchain's gonna take over the world. Bitcoin's gonna turn into a one world currency. I mean, there's not a city almost in the world where you can't find one buyer to sell your Bitcoin to.
Right. Yeah,
like that's pretty powerful.
That you know that. It's good that you know that because you're living from that experience.
I lost my debit card in Saigon City, and I was wrecked.
Yeah.
No money.
Right.
It was like 1 a.m. I landed, and like debit card, I just lost it in Bali, and I was like, okay, well, I don't have any money, and it's 1 a.m. like zero, and I was like, fuck, what do I do? What do I do? Like, I'm in a foreign country. There's not just like a store you just walk up to, like, hi, I'm an American. I lost my debit card. Can I have $100? Like, really, it doesn't exist. You're like, you're just fucked. And so I was like, I talked to the tax people. I'm like, hey, dude, can you bring me to Western Union? It's Friday night. It was like 1 a.m. And he was like, yeah, I think there's one downtown. I think they're still open. I was like, dope. He was like, $10. I was like, nah, I don't have money. Like, you got to wait for me to get money. I'll give you $20. And he's like, okay, fine. Get there. They're closed. And I'm like, dude, I can't check in the hotel. I can't buy food. I'm hungry. Can't sleep anywhere.
And I'm so glad that you're telling this story because I really love that you're likening that to the developing regions of the world too, because that's actually the reason why I got into the whole space. It really is because I lived in a developing country as an exchange student, and it taught me really quickly. That's how I was exposed to Western Union. I didn't even know what that was as an Aussie. Yeah. And I had to use this for, exchanging money when I was there. And obviously now one of the big benefits is if we can get this right, and we're not there yet by any means. Look at Venezuela as one prime example of what's going wrong. But imagine if someone from a developing country doesn't have to pay too much of that transaction fee, but they can eliminate all those, middle intermediaries and just get that money to the person who needs it. It might be their auntie. They might have gone overseas to the US or Australia to work, which they often do. And I love how that could help that person and that family. Right now, those intermediaries get a fucking fortune out of these people because they're so expensive. And the other issue too is you can't buy bread easily consistently with the current currency model because of inflation, because of volatility. So we're looking forward to seeing something allow that to happen, regardless of the SOV narrative, because that will always be there. Everyone wants to make money. Everyone wants to see that as big gold. But the truth is that I would like to also see developing countries benefit. And I love that blockchain could potentially do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think it's all happening. Like, I think everybody just needs to chill out. Like, it's happening. The cat's out of the bag. Like, there's companies, there's just different segments of the space. Like, there's going to be companies that are like the next Uber that just use Bitcoin as payment. They don't have their own token. Boom. There's going to be companies that are the next Uber that try to create their own token. It might flop. It might make it. There's going to be companies like Apple and Facebook that drop their own cryptocurrency to integrate on their platform. I think this is like the future, and there's going to be winners and losers, and it might not be for a decade, but like, it's cat's out of the bag, and like, everybody's trying to get on it and figure out how to use it. I mean, it's pretty revolutionary that you can just like automatic. I mean, before, like, the whole world, like, you always have to have a trusted party. Like, that was the whole point of banks, like, you hold my, like, banking got started where it's like, I have a piece of gold, I'm going to sell it to America. And they're going to be like, what if you get robbed on the way? It's like, good point. He's like, I'm going to give you a slip of paper that says you have one piece of gold in England. When you get to America, we have a partner bank there and you can redeem it. So you don't get robbed. And then, the banks would hold your funds. But now it's kind of like I can kind of hold it and I can automatically transfer. So I think it's happening. I'm just like, I think there's going to be the new wave of startups that are like Uber, like Amazon, like Dropbox, that are going to be built using blockchain. A lot of them won't even have their own tokens. Some of them will. And then there's going to be like this push to continue like to push Bitcoin as like sovereign money. So those are going to be, I feel like, the two big movements over the next decade. The sovereign money crowd with Bitcoin, which I love. It's awesome. And then like, let's build some companies using blockchain. We might have our own token. We might not. So I think that's like the wave.
And you're always going to have this dichotomy between grassroots movements and top-down pressure. It's always going to be there. It's always been there historically. But like you said, that the sheer fact of the branding and where it started from, its legacy is that grassroots and, you know, emergence of value and power in the space. And it's really shaken the foundation of traditional markets and those in those high positions, like Jamie Dimon.
For sure.
So it's exciting that he even was able to say those words, because it means that BTC existed, you know, and that speaks volumes for the future and what this whole industry can do. And Digital Lawrence, it's been an absolute privilege, man. I know you've got to catch a plane later. And bro, I just want to say, you know, thank you for your time, man. Like, it's been really cool.
Thanks,
you're just a really real person, and it's nice just to have a no BS chat about what you're doing. I'm really looking forward to seeing you, mate, emerge as someone that's doing some cool stuff with your branding. And obviously, you know, you get the value of the business of blockchain. You know, you're not bullshitting about that, and you want to make sure that you're part of this movement and wave, but you're also doing it in a way that's transparent, and that matters to all of us. So thanks, man, for everything you're doing, and we'll catch up again if you want to.
Yeah, dude, sounds good. Nice to finally chat with you, and just do a little shout out to FOMO that's dropping like next week.
Please do that. Yeah, go for it. So FOMO, what's it all about?
It's just gonna be like IMDb of crypto / meetup.com. And we're just going to have, everybody's going to have user profiles to showcase their brands in the space, their bios, their companies that they work for. And we're going to have like a flash store, and, you know, we're just going to like showcase the whole community, everybody in crypto building anything cool. We're going to showcase them every day. And then we're going to have like every blockchain event in the world. So we'll drop that next week. And
well, big things happening for you. So guys, you heard it from DL himself. FOMO Hunt is certainly something he's been hunting to find and create. Now he's done it. Now he's got it. He's got the goal for his own plan. I'll put the all info below once I can, and obviously check it out.
Cool.
Drop next week. But mate, have a safe flight. We'll catch up soon.
Thank you, dude.
It's been a really cool chat. I've learned a lot, you know, as you taught me a lot about branding.
Oh yeah, thanks, man. Well, good talking to you, mate. And
I love it.
All right, man. Thanks, dude. I really appreciate you having me on. I'm gonna get out of here.
For sure. Safe flight, man. See ya.